Hey there, Kenneth French of Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're very, very happy you stopped by. Either you're going to watch this or listen to this because you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably an entrepreneur who's either just starting out or you've been around for quite a while and you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably a real estate investor, maybe even a real estate agent, maybe a professional or of some sort, professional advisor of some sort. And well, you are stopping by because you need some valuable advice from one of the top industry leaders there is. Anyway, thank you very much. Once again, Kenneth French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Really glad you stopped by.
Kids, we're talking to the Crypto King. Crypto King. You like that, Brandon?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I wouldn't call myself that, but hey, if you want to, I'll take it.
Let's get right to it. You know, we have about 20, 25 minutes. I want to add value to people. We don't have enough people talking about crypto on our show, that's my fault because I've been doing crypto since, I started in 2010. But by the way, I was an idiot. I even paid some employees in crypto in 2015 and one of them supposedly retired, man. Anyway,
Bitcoin when it was 4 cents a coin.
Yeah, believe me, I know. I got scared, man. It was back then. It was really hard to get crypto. It wasn't like it is, and it's still hard today, man. Dude, we're going all over the place. We're just starting. Let's talk crypto. Let's talk crypto. Let's talk ways to make money, huh? Brandon,
sure.
How about this? I'm going to ask you right off the bat because our people want to get value right off the bat. What's one way our listeners and viewers can make money with crypto that's not always talked about it out in the marketplace?
Yeah, for sure. So one mechanism that a lot of people have heard about, but don't necessarily know like the mechanics of it and like tactically how to actually implement it, it's called yield farming. And I remember when I first got into it a few years back, I had heard the phrase, I kind of understood conceptually what it is, but I didn't know how to actually get involved in it. Now, yield farming can refer to a couple of different processes, but basically it's anything where you are leveraging the existing crypto assets that you are already holding in order to produce some kind of yield or reward. Now, the clearest example of this is when you become a liquidity provider. And when you are a liquidity provider in the world of decentralized finance, you get to earn a portion of the trading fees that are generated online every single day by the trades and swaps that are happening on the decentralized exchanges. So right now we're rolling at about 70 to 80 billion per day in trade volume. And that's likely only set to increase as the bull market gets even warmer here in the next probably 6 to 12 months. So we're literally talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars that's being transacted every single day. And we're just saying, hey, wouldn't it be great if I could take a small cut of those trading fees that are generated every single day? Like it's already happening. It's just a matter of, do you want to position yourself in a way that you can get paid to be a liquidity provider? And the thing that I think is so cool about it, just conceptually, is we hear about crypto and moonshots and all the hype and the hysteria. And it's usually we kind of conceive of it as like, oh, that's money just created out of thin air. Like, where's this money coming from? But in yield farming, you are providing a legitimate service. You're making someone else's trading platform safer, faster, more reliable, and you're getting compensated for that. So if you think of a big centralized exchange like Coinbase, they're making millions of dollars every single day just on trading fees alone. And they're the big boss. They're the centralized exchange. So they operate kind of like a bank. They just get to collect 100% of all those trading fees. I'm just going, well, what if I don't want to trade on Coinbase? What if I want to go to the decentralized space and trade there? Who's providing that liquidity? Well, that's the beauty of blockchain technology, is now any individual investor can become a liquidity provider and participate in that flow of trading fee income.
Yeah, what the Crypto King, Brandon, is saying, I love mentioning that. Basically, he's saying acting as a bank. So that's all banks do. I'll think of Goldman Sachs. When people put money at Goldman Sachs, and they do have a little bank, by the way, even a retail bank. But anyway, when people put money there, they get to multiply that money by lending it out, obviously, right? And with crypto, what he's talking about is exactly that. You have crypto, instead of having it sit in an account, what you basically do, overly simplifying it, is you're lending it out. And then there's, by the way, then there's multiplier effect on that money as well. But we can
Correct.
get into that a whole nother deal. Anyway, so if people feel comfortable about banking, well, this is one way of making money on you acting as a bank, Mr. or Mrs. Investor out there.
Yeah,
and it really isn't that much more complicated than that. Now, the cool thing is some of the, I'm sure you can't talk about rates of return specifically, but the rates of return can be really, really good, really high, mainly because crypto theoretically is growing at such an exponential rate. So they can offer higher rates than banks, generally speaking, with a little bit more of a, I'm not going to say conservative, but a unique bent as a result. That's what I would say.
And I would say the approach that we use is conservative by crypto standards, okay? Because crypto standards, it's a lot of like, take the risk, get a 50x kind of a thing, which is like these just ludicrous returns. And those do happen, like they are real. But in the world of cryptocurrency, you can take what would be, by comparison, a very conservative approach. You can yield farm with the blue chip cryptos, Bitcoin, ETH, Arbitrum, Guard, some of these assets that have already proven themselves safe and reliable over time. And you can still land typically between 30 and 120% APR on average. And that is just accounting for the trading fee income that you earn by being a liquidity provider. I'm not factoring in any compounding effect, and I'm not factoring in long-term appreciation of those base assets, because when you are a liquidity provider, you are still exposed to the market upside of those assets.
Yeah,
so
that's a good
you
point.
can still enjoy the appreciation while earning additional cash flow along the way to that end goal, whatever that time horizon is for you, be it 4 years, 6 years, 10 years down the road.
And with you guys, different people do it differently, or different groups do it differently. How do you guys do it? Let's talk about some of the logistics. Do you guys hold no, I'm gonna leave it for you. How do you guys do the yield farming? Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so the basic flow is, and there's a couple of main pathways, but the one main pathway is you take some of your base capital, and I'll typically recommend a general 80-20 split, meaning 80% of your base capital into liquidity pairs, 20% into just holding some unpaired assets and stable coins, because you always want to have a little bit on the sideline to take advantage of, whatever anomalous things that tend to occur in the crypto market. So you take that base capital, you become a liquidity provider, and then you start harvesting. Maybe it's 30% APR, maybe it's 80% APR, whatever the case may be. You start to accumulate trading fee income. You'll get paid in the form of whatever assets that you are pairing together. So if I pair together Bitcoin and ETH, I get paid in Bitcoin and ETH. Now that's step one, liquidity provider. Step two is your bucket where you're harvesting all of that cash flow that you're generating by being a liquidity provider. Then the third step is we swap that for what we call macro belief, meaning your long-term big picture assets that you love to hold. And we set those aside in a separate wallet. We just call that the bull run portfolio. But the cool thing about arranging it this way is, everything that I set aside from the trading fee income, that is just gravy. It's pure profit that I made from providing a legitimate service and getting compensated accordingly. And then I just wait and I'm patient. And then when the bull run warms up and there's those typical huge spikes that we see in crypto, then you can cash out just from your bull run bag. So even if all you were getting is 50% APR for the trading fee income, well, if those crypto that you swapped for, if those then go 2x, 4x, 6x, whatever that number is, in crypto, those multipliers aren't unheard of. Well, that 50% became effectively 200, 300, 400% when you account for the growth of the assets that you yielded because of your efforts as a liquidity provider.
Yeah, I get it. And knowing me, I would try to get too much in the weeds, but so let me back up. So then, okay, although that's a very compelling story, I think, for a lot of investors out there, but maybe I know you have kind of some other things as well. So not to, I don't want to just blow off what we've already talked about, because it's pretty cool. If you're talking about 50% rates of return, by the way, nothing's guaranteed. This is for illustration purposes, entertainment purposes.
Totally.
If you do any investing or whatever, and it goes down because it's in crypto, it's not my fault. Anyway, what else do you guys offer, or what else is something else out there that you're associated with that actually can make money or add value to our watchers and listeners?
Yeah, you mean in terms of like investment opportunity or?
I like this. The reason I like doing this, for one, I like talking to people and asking questions, and learning. But I like to add value to the audience. I want them to walk away with something that's going to make them money or save them money as a result of our
Gotcha.
conversation.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let me frame it this way then. Often, like people who join my mastermind, they're not necessarily crypto maxis, right? They're not just like, oh, all crypto, all other asset classes are worthless. It's not that at all. Typically, we'll get people who are already invested in something else, be it real estate, be it the Forex markets, traditional stock market, or what have you. And very often they'll have a chunk that they allocate to crypto, but then they'll also play the strategy where they take some of the cash flow from their other investments that they've already been participating in, and they'll feed that into their crypto portfolio. So real estate's a great example. Say you own a couple of commercial properties, you're cash flowing on a regular basis, you have enough to completely cover debt service, and then you have a little bit left over every month. Well, what are you going to do with that? There's a number of different pathways. You could, invest in other properties, sure. Or you could take a portion of that, invest into the crypto market, and potentially multiply the returns from that investment that you could have gotten elsewhere in a more traditional asset class. So one thing we specialize in is helping people navigate that space of, okay, an integrated portfolio. What does that look like? Typically, those who want to accelerate their timeline will get involved in some or other non-traditional asset classes. In fact, what is it? Tony Robbins' new book, I forget what it's called now off the top of my head. He just released it. The whole thing is about asset classes that are kind of off the beaten path.
Alternative asset classes, yeah.
Alternative asset classes. And so in my mind, I would put crypto in that category of alternative asset classes, to where you could say, oh, it's riskier in one sense, but also at the same time, you can play it conservatively within that asset class and still get returns that far exceed anything else that you might get in some other pathways.
Yeah, so you can talk about alpha. I don't want to get too specific, but I'm going to a little bit. Alpha, let's just say it's a measure of rate of return versus some risk to a certain extent. But anyway, you get better alpha if you really look at crypto all the way since 2008 to now on a risk-adjusted basis. You might be better off doing crypto than other investments, number one. Number two, it really depends on a client's obviously situation, their asset allocation. But that being said, I'm going to ask you this. What percent do you think, I know this is a hard question, but I'm going to ask it, what percent do you think in general of a portfolio should be in crypto?
Gosh, yeah, that's hard because for me, it is probably much higher than most people would.
You might be a little bit younger, more. But I know it's a hard question.
I would say, yeah, look, the average investor, if you're putting 20 to 30% of your total portfolio into crypto, again, if you're playing on the conservative end of the crypto spectrum, I think you're going to be okay. Now, within that 20 to 30% chunk, now that's your crypto allocation. You can then allocate an even smaller portion of that for the higher risk stuff if you have the stomach for that, because that's like, I put in 5,000, I got back 50,000 the next month, like those kinds of plays. But you'll lose frequently on those kind of moves as well. Whereas if you play a risk mitigated strategy, you can become a liquidity provider, provide liquidity for assets that are already proven reliable, that have really high trade volume, because you're getting paid based on trade volume, not short-term price action. And you'll be very comfortable with that allocation. Yeah. But again, just my opinion, I have a much larger percentage allocated for crypto. But that's because I teach this for a living and I love it. And I believe in it long term, not just specific assets, but also the trajectory that decentralized finance is headed in. I think at some point we're going to see it kind of merge with traditional finance. We're already seeing some of that happen with some of the larger institutions adopting it. And that's only going to increase, I think, over the next 10 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I've done a lot of writing on it. I don't know why. I wish it would hurry and get more in the mainstream than it is. Anyway, by the way, I'm going to back up a little bit. So, I was on a board a while back. It was actually kind of focus group. Actually, it became a debate, and it was 4 or 5. I can't remember how many. But there are 4 or 5. Let's say there were 4 or 5 people who were debating, crypto and what percentage allocation. And I was the older, because I'm old, and I was the oldest on the panel. And these other little kids were saying, no offense to the little kids, especially if they're watching or listening, they were saying, one guy, 100% of your money should be in crypto. I'm not kidding. I didn't give you an example. I said, what? You really a 50-year-old? And he said, yeah, a 50-year-old with all their money. I'm like, okay. Anyway, by the way, the market went down. Now it's gone back up since then. But anyway, what I'm of the belief that, yeah, I think you should have some in crypto. But really what I would say is, depending on the circumstances, sometimes I even say, okay, maybe play money. I don't know if it's 20%, but maybe play money should be allocated. Everyone's got a little play money, at least hope so. Should be allocated towards crypto, because you never know that, whatever, let's say it's 5 or 10%, that 10% of your portfolio, who knows, that could far outpace the rest of your assets. You just never know. And at the same time, it's a newer asset class in '08, so you don't know what's going to happen to it. But I think looking at the rate of return, it has done better on a risk-adjusted basis compared to a lot of other asset classes. So at least makes sense to look at crypto. But there's one issue, I would say. I think a lot of people aren't paid in general to put money in crypto, meaning financial advisors probably won't say you should put money in crypto because they're not paid to do it and they don't have the compliance capabilities.
Right, exactly.
And that's an issue, because I don't think a lot of people are informed about it. As a result, they have to go out and research it themselves. So it sometimes makes sense to be a part of a mastermind, because you have people who are all of like-minded who are doing the research. And plus that, combined with the fact that people want to do more of their own investing, I think masterminds make a lot of sense, especially as it relates to the crypto world.
Yeah, and especially with crypto, where in my opinion, you can and should learn self-custody.
Right, totally. 100%.
You are in charge of your assets and you are in control of them at all times. Almost every crypto scam out there, and by scam, I don't mean, the chart went down. I mean, like, they take your money and you never see them again kind of thing. Almost every crypto scam that's out there is some version of, hey, we've never met face to face, but why don't you send me your Bitcoin and I'll just handle all the heavy lifting for you, and then I'll return you 2% a day, or some ludicrous promise like that. And people fall for it because they want to believe that there's a solution where they don't have to put in any effort and someone else is just going to handle it all for them 100%. But again, my opinion here, even if you do find a reputable managed crypto fund, and they do exist, they're few and far between, but they do exist. Even if you can find one of those, I still wouldn't recommend putting all of your crypto just into that. And you still want to be capable and equipped well enough that you are able to manage your own funds. And the thing is, like with yield farming, for example, it feels super overwhelming. Like, I have no idea even where to start. I can teach someone where to go and where to click to stay safe and set it all up, usually in 1 or 2 mentorship sessions. And that's all it takes. But those 2 hours of mentorship probably saved you 2 years off your life if you went just like poking around on your own and trying to figure it out, because there's a vast number of options out there, but there's only a small fraction of the crypto space that's actually truly safe and reliable, where there's projects that are being built that legitimately contribute to the infrastructure of decentralized finance. The other 95% of crypto, in my mind, is like hype and trash and kitty doggy froggy coins, which, hey, fine, if you made money on those, great, more power to you. I'm just saying it's a different side of crypto versus like, actual new innovative technology that's being developed.
Yeah, I think I think old school finance is absolutely ridiculous if you think about it. I mean, to send money across the country, let's just say it. I mean, how it's very complicated, our banking system. People don't realize it. The Fed's got to be, it's just crazy. Versus, well, wait a minute. I basically have a contract between me and another person, kind of in crypto. It's instantaneous.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's the innovation. And
exactly,
it sounds so simple, but people don't realize like that is the innovation. anytime you can increase the efficiency in how people transact and how people exchange value, you've created a technological innovation. Same thing happens with the
it
internet.
costs at scale and cost. The cost is almost nothing theoretically, and at the same time you have scale because you have. The way crypto really works is you have a bunch of people agreeing on something. If you really think about it at the end of the day, but anyway, I think all of it makes sense in a new modern world, and it's funny that the regulators are so against it, but then again, there's not money in it for them. So there's issues there. This is gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? You and I are gonna either debate or talk more on another episode. I'm gonna ask you to come back because I don't like going more than a half an hour. My attention span.
It's all good. I'm with you.
I say we have you come back for another one because we're gonna. You and I could talk a lot. Yield farming, I think, makes a lot of sense. The asset allocation of crypto makes a lot of sense. We probably should go over maybe even the basics a little bit more. We could take a lot longer than just a half an hour. And again, taking more than a half an hour, I don't have the brain space for it. But how about this? Tell us a little bit about your mastermind, because I think we both agree that masterminds make a lot of sense. I'm not going to say that yours is the only one, but at least it's worth talking about. Maybe if people are interested, maybe they can get a hold of you as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, the main premise of the mastermind is mentorship and community and training. So you get access to a bunch of training and tutorial videos, which, hey, those are helpful, but not a lot of people want to slog through 60 hours of video before they start making money. So we have very much a learn by doing approach, meaning from the first day you join, you're in a mentorship session, you're sharing your screen. We're walking you through literally click by click how to create the wallet if you don't have it yet, set up security, how to transfer funds to that wallet, how to find where the liquidity positions are, how to evaluate if it's going to be a good investment long time based on trade volume to TVL ratio, based on the actual asset itself, based on the correlation of the two assets when you're creating the pair. So there's a lot of little nuances, but again, it's in a one-to-one mentorship format. And then, of course, there's live group calls every week, which you'd expect in sort of a mastermind type of community. So rather than being like a stagnant curriculum that I recorded a year ago, that's obsolete now, it's literally we're dealing with whatever is most timely and relevant in the market now. And because I am also actively and heavily invested in the crypto market, there's a lot of hey, listen, everyone, here's what I'm doing. I'm not saying you have to do it exactly the way that I'm doing it, but here's some pairs that we're finding that are working really well right now. Here's the ones that are paying XYZ APR. And here's the assets that I think that you can position yourself early for in anticipation of what's coming. So, it's the old exposure, proximity, access, right? You get exposure to other people, other methods of investing that you may have not discovered on your own. And then you're around not only other investors, but you're around mentors who have already done this and have refined it down to a very specific process. And once you get in there, you realize the process actually is very simple and straightforward. I think the question I get the most is after everything gets set up, it's, well, Brandon, what else should I be doing? It's human nature, right? Maybe if I took this action and I got this result, I can do triple the action and get triple the result. I always go, no. You are in a perfect position right now. Now the challenge is, can you stomach the fact that you only have to click buttons for 10 minutes a day, and doing more than that will actually be more detrimental to your portfolio rather than helpful?
I totally know what you mean. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I think this is gonna be a good one. This is a good first little half an hour or whatever. The next one we're gonna get a little bit more of the nuts and bolts after we provide.
I'd be happy to. Yeah. I could talk about this stuff for 8 hours straight. So
I know. There's a lot of value. Not enough people are talking about it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and for all the listeners and viewers out there, we're gonna have Brandon, the Crypto King, back for another episode. We're going to chat. Once again, this is Kenner French. I'm with VastSolutionsGroup.com. You're listening and watching the Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs.